Hi students, I'm Una.
And I'm Scott.
I'm a PTE teacher from the UK.
I'm also a PTE teacher from the UK.
And we've been helping students pass their exams for years.
And now we're excited to help you pass your exam too.
Welcome to the Swoosh English PTE podcast.
Let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome to the PTE podcast here at Swoosh English. My name is Scott.
And my name is Una.
And today we're going to go through another episode with another specific task to the PTE examination. So what are we looking at today, Una?
Today we are looking at the multiple choice, multiple answer task within the listening section of the PTE exam.
It's the listening section to complement the reading section that we did quite recently.
Yes.
How are you today, Una?
I'm good. Actually do have a bit of a cold today, but hopefully we'll be able to get through it okay.
All right, so for any sniffling and snuffling, we apologize for that.
Yes. I hope I can avoid that situation.
We'll get through it nicely. Okay, so let's start off with, as we always do, by talking about an overview of this task. Mm-hmm. So what information do people need to know about what they have to do in the listening task?
Okay, so of course this is a multiple choice question type, and students are often very familiar with multiple choice questions. You know, they arise in many different exams. You can see them in lots of textbooks, so no big qualms there. So it is multiple choice, multiple answer. You have to choose more than one. Okay, so while listening to the recording, then you will see a question and some different answer options. Okay. And you have to simply select more than one.
So be steadfast in the day. Remember that there are obviously two different multiple choice question types to do in the listening examination and the reading examination. So you need to be sure about which one you're doing, because if you answer more than one answer in single choice, you won't get any points. If you answer less than one answer for multiple choice and multiple answer, then you're not actually getting the maximum score you potentially could. But you can, of course, still just select one and it would be okay. All right.
But yes, you obviously should give yourself the best opportunity to pick as many answers that are correct as possible. So yes, it will simply state you must choose more than one. So it doesn't state, how many you have to choose.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so some students are like, but how many do I have to choose? Why is it not telling me?
Well, that would be easy if you knew there were three answers.
Yeah.
But no, it's obviously over to the question type itself. There's no set amount of correct or incorrect answers. It depends on the question prompt, which means you have to really read around to find those answers.
Exactly, yes. Like a lot of the time, maybe there's 5 answer options or 6, and therefore it's about 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 correct options.
So how long should a student spend on each multiple choice, multiple answer prompt for this?
Okay, so for this prompt, the length of the recording is 60 to 90 seconds. So that's the length of the recording, and that's different to multiple choice single answer, which is 30 to 60 seconds.
So slightly longer then.
Yeah, slightly longer. And then after the recording, you're going to take maybe 30 to 60 seconds in order to choose your answer, eliminate and validate different answers, and then go on through and click next to the next one.
Excellent.
So, how many different questions do we get for this answer type on the day?
How many task prompts will there be?
Yeah.
2 to 3 different task prompts on the day. So you can expect as little as 2 and as many as 3. So you're not obviously going to just encounter one of these exercises and move on. There will be a variety of them in different topics, different answer types as well. So make sure you practice up on that. Anything else about the overview? I think that's it pretty much covered.
No, I think that's it, yes.
Just a brief summary, I suppose, of what we talked about. The listening is 60 to 90 seconds. You'll have approximately 2 minutes to complete this task in total, but don't worry if you take a little bit longer than multiple choice single answer, because the prompt is a bit longer. There will be 2 to 3 tasks, and you have to select more than one answer for multiple choice, multiple listening. Okay. Yes. Shall we get into a bit about the scoring now for this task?
Yeah, let's get into the scoring. We love talking about the scoring for these multiple choice, multiple answer
So the scoring,
tasks.
yes. The scoring is what's good for the students to know as well about how this is scored, so they know exactly how their performance can be impacted depending on what they do or they don't do.
Of course, it's absolutely necessary to know this one.
Yeah. So yes, highly essential. You want to talk?
Don't forget.
You're very, very enthusiastic to tell me about scoring, yeah?
So negative marking for our multiple choice, multiple answer, just the same as we had in our reading for multiple choice, multiple answer. So that simply means that you will get 1 point, of course, if you get the correct answer. But if you select an incorrect answer, you receive -1. So what happens then if you select a correct answer and an incorrect answer? Well, you're going to end up with 0.
You're going to end up with 0, yeah.
So you want to make sure that you don't neutralize your score when it comes to negative marking. It means that you can't make any guesses. So a lot of the time in PTE, we will recommend, okay, go ahead, guess, you're not going to lose out anything. You might as well. But for this task with with negative marking, we shouldn't guess. You want to be very confident when selecting any answers.
Shall we go through a hypothetical situation about how this may impact your score?
Well, go for it.
I think it's important to realize that, say, for example, there might be 3 correct answers in a given question, and you have 3 potential answers. There's 1 you're sure about. You don't go for the other 2. You only mark down 1. You get 1 point. So 1 point's obviously better than 0 points, but not as good as having a maximum of 3 for the prompt.
Of course.
Say, for example, in the same situation, you had 1 answer you were completely sure about and 2 you were unsure about, and you thought, I might as well guess. So you guessed them all. The other 2 were incorrect. You would get 0 for that. So obviously, being sure about 1 point versus not being sure about 3 points will get you a higher score.
Yes,
so don't
definitely.
guess for this. Do you think negative marking is a really horrible word in the PTE circles? It makes people shudder. Ooh, negative marking. Negative marking. Ooh. Okay, so just remember that negative marking is here for this task. So please don't estimate unless you're completely sure. You could end up being worse off for it.
Mm-hmm. Don't guess. Okay, so then what different question types can we come across?
So there are a variety of different question types you might come across. The most common you'll probably find are obviously true or false style questions, yes or no, supporting or unsupporting style questions, in which the question may ask you to find evidence in the text with the question types itself. You have to either correlate that and say, is it supported or is it unsupported? So the question might be quite general. For example, which of the following statements in the listening recording are supported and which are unsupported? You have to then find out, go through them, yes or no. They actually might ask a specific question according to the question as well, in which there's something relevant to a topic or maybe the main theme of the question itself, and you have to do the same thing. Supported, unsupported, true or false. That's the most common type. What's another question type we have to do for this?
So perhaps what about the writer's goals in writing this? Like, what was the writer's purpose for writing the task? Or potentially what's the writer's attitude towards this? What can be inferred? Different questions like this. Have I left anything out? Main ideas. More common in multiple choice single answer, but it's possible.
Because it's very hard to obviously summarize a main idea from a listening recording with one answer.
But it's good with one answer. You can get it with one answer, but then
not with multiple choice.
Ideas,
there might be a few inferences made by the speaker in the recording. So therefore, you have to decide, okay, what's being inferred, what's the speaker's main opinion, what's their main idea, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So a variety of different tasks that you have to do, and obviously all of them do require a slightly different approach. For example, when you're finding supporting information, that will appear throughout the listening text itself. You have to obviously pick out those keywords and correlate them with the question. Whereas the writer's opinion style question, you're looking for opinionative language, which the speaker has divulged, and that can appear throughout, but obviously quite common, usually in the conclusion as well, when the writer the speaker saves their opinion for the very end.
Yeah, and that could be verbs or even adjectives. Adjectives are really going to help you in that one, like what the speaker thinks about something is going to be inferred through the adjectives that they use to describe
adjectives are commonly opinionative language.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's a different type of question types. Obviously, some more will come through in the text itself, but usually they are a combination or a derivative of what you've just heard.
Yes.
So that's it. Overview in terms of the overview, the scoring, and as well as the different question types. Let's get straight into the method.
Okay, yes. Hi all. We're going to grab a quick cup of coffee. While we're gone, go to pte.swishenglish.com and grab your free PTE starter course, a gift to get you started on your PTE preparation. That's pte.swishenglish.com for your free PTE starter course.
So what's the first thing that students should do? They come into their first multiple choice, multiple answer question, and they're terrified, going, oh my goodness, I just did a single answer one, that was bad enough. What about multiple answer?
Well, for multiple choice, multiple answer, you have 7 seconds before the recording is going to begin. So in that 7 seconds, you're obviously just going to take the time to look at the question, okay?
What should the student be looking out for with that question?
Well, in the question, you're going to be looking at the question focus, okay? So what exactly is that question asking you to listen out for? What kind of information? And that is what we were just talking about there, like your main ideas, or is it asking you for true or false information? Things like this. So yeah, identify the question focus. That is very important. And in that 7 seconds, use that time that you have wisely. I know it might seem like no time at all, but you need to use every second wisely in the PTE exam. So yes, look at that question, identify the focus. What do you have to listen for? And that way you can listen for a purpose. So, listen out for the information.
So you're saying that students obviously looking for the question focus should obviously look out for what the question is exactly asking. So
yes.
What do you think would be important when looking for this question focus? What should they specifically highlight or extract from that question?
So of course the question word. The question word is very important. You know, is it asking you which, what, where, things like this?
When, why, who, how long, etc.
Yes, exactly. And then, of course, the content words within that question, you know, and you're probably going to get a good idea, especially with multiple choice, multiple answer, because a lot of the time the question might say, you know, what is true about topic. So you're going to get a good clue of what the actual topic of the listening is going to be about.
Because there might actually be a word in that question prompt which actually gives away what the topic is.
Exactly.
So that will help contextualize your listening as well, because you'll see that that keyword, and that might actually appear either as a main idea or as a topic itself.
Yeah, exactly. But aside from that, you know, it's only 7 seconds, but let's try and get a look at the answer options as well.
Yeah.
Just skim them really fast after you've looked at the question, and then just see what keywords are jumping out at you again.
Yes.
So that's also going to give you a really good clue as to what you have to listen out for and what the topic of that overall listening is.
100% correct advice. Also, make sure you are aware exactly what you're looking for as well. Are you looking for something that's supported or not supported? Are you looking for things that are true or false? Because this is very easy to overlook.
Definitely.
You may be reading in your complete haste in those 7 seconds. Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And you're looking and you see supported. You're reading so fast, you see supported. Okay, I'm looking for evidence that is supported. But you didn't pick up on that not that comes before it. And that way you might actually end up answering that question completely wrong. And that's very easy to do as well with that's nerves and that energy in the test itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So please slow down, remain calm, and make sure you go everything through in the proper steps, because you want to ensure that you do answer the questions correctly.
So what's next then, Scott? So we've looked at the question, we've skimmed the answer options and thought about any keywords that are jumping out at us, and now what's going to happen?
So now we're going to listen. The listening recording will begin, as we previously mentioned, is between 60 and 90 seconds. And there are several things that you want to do as you go through the listening. Of course, the listening will be structured in a nice academic or formal way, so you will be able to pick out some aspects from the listening which are useful. Remember, usually the first sentence or two will often include the main ideas and the topical gist. So you'll have an understanding of what that lecture is about. If you can get that topical gist, then you can contextualize the rest of your answers. So make sure you take a note of that. So obviously you should be taking down notes as you go through as well, but we'll go through the note taking as we get to the main ideas.
Oh, so we're going to take notes during the listening recording.
Highly recommend that you take down notes, of course.
Definitely.
So you're going to be obviously looking out for the topical gist that can help you contextualize the rest of the answers. And then you're going to be skimming and scanning the answer options at the same time while reading and getting an idea about what's being divulged, because you want to compare the keywords to what you hear in the listening. Does the information that you hear correlate with what you see? And how do these ideas relate to the answer options as well as the listening? Of course, the other idea that we can do is listen while you take down.
Exactly.
Listen while you answer the question.
So really, are we saying that there's two different options here?
It really depends. I think there's actually evidence to suggest that both work. It depends if you're more of an active listener and you're very good at listening at the same time as comparing with the notes that you hear. Or maybe you're actually better at obviously listening, getting those notes, and then cross-referencing with a reading style exercise as well. So
it does depend. Are you a good, can you listen and read? But it's really important to make sure that you're listening, you know, no matter what it is you're doing, whether you're taking notes or looking at the answer options. Are you listening to everything that is being said? You're not missing anything. And overall, it's really important to get the meaning, the real meaning of that text, you know, or of that recording. Make sure that you understand the meaning of the overall, the overall recording. But yeah, I think it's really important. For me, it's really important to take notes. So I'd like to take, obviously not writing down every word or long sentences, but just, 2 to 3 words here and there. And so that whenever at the end of the day, you only get to listen to that recording once. What if I missed something,
Yeah.
So I want to take notes, and therefore once the recording is over and I'm stuck, well, I won't be stuck because I still have something to look at.
And how would you advise the students take down their note? Should they take down full sentences, full words?
No. So of course, we're not going to take down full sentences. And, it really depends as well. So we always recommend to students, a lot of the tasks within the listening section are going to require you to take notes. So you need to get a good note-taking system down yourself. This is a very personal thing, but you can use possibly abbreviations. You can use symbols in order to suggest, something's connected to something else, for example. So it's really important to practice that yourself and be comfortable with your own note-taking system.
And of course, it's very difficult to talk about symbols in a podcast. That's up to you to do your own research regarding those symbols that we can use. But basically, as Una said, you want to primarily be focusing on your listening here. It is actually, as you know, a listening task. Yes, your reading and your writing are also involved in this task, but you want to keep those to a minimum compared to your listening.
Oh, definitely. Just small words, small notes, and yes.
So I think it's important to ask as well, while we're listening for the information to cross-reference with our answer options, will the words that appear in the answer options also be heard in the same form in the recording?
Possibly not. So of course, the words in the keywords in the answer options that jumped out at you whenever you first skimmed them, they might be said in the recording, but in another form, or a paraphrased, or a synonym used in place of one of those words. So, it's not going to be made super easy for you. We're going to want to try and make sure that you can expand your vocabulary. And that's important. That's a tip, that we'll give at the end, I suppose. But making sure that you're able to know lots of different synonyms of different words and vocabulary, because it's possible you can hear those.
And not just synonyms too, it's the reformulation of sentences and ideas. So the word might obviously be changed in terms of its context as well, but it also might appear in a different sentence structure or formulation as well. So you have to put those ideas together in the wider context too.
Yes, and make sure, like we always say for these multiple choice answer options, that you're listening out for key points and not just keywords.
Yes, you're looking out for the relationships between ideas, because after all, you might hear a keyword that's being used in the text and you think, okay, I've correlated that with my answer option. I think that's a yes or a no. Make sure you also listen to the wider context as well, because you might hear something afterwards which actually contradicts that point or supports it, depending on what's being used. So listen to the wider idea that's being conveyed around those keywords as well to make your answer choice.
Yeah, make sure you understand the whole answer option, or you may end up with selecting an incorrect answer.
Okay, so that's the listening section done. You're obviously listening to the lecture. You're taking note of the keywords, the key ideas, the topical gist. You're taking down some notes you write, you're keeping your notes nice and short, and then you're making your choices based on that.
Yes.
So then you have some time after the listening has finished to make your answers. Yeah. What should the students do?
So of course now you're going to go to your answer options. You're going to either use your notes filled in with your memory and, validate or eliminate answer options based on what you heard. So simply just trying to find evidence or proof that one answer is correct and another is not. So with multiple choice, multiple answer, because of that negative marking, you really want to try to, have a reason why you did eliminate certain options or why you chose certain option, just so that you can be confident in your choice. And as we said at the beginning, if you are not confident, if you're only confident about one, then only select one.
Exactly, because you can lose more points for actually answering the question incorrectly. So
selecting all those incorrect answers.
You want to make sure ideally that you have all your notes covered, and obviously you can use those notes to associate whether the answer is correct or incorrect. You want to prove the correct answers and eliminate the incorrect answers. If you can neither prove nor eliminate the answers with your notes that you've taken down, then don't select any answer option. Don't select any answer option. So that's pretty much it for the method. Yes. Rinse and repeat again 2 to 3 times in total for the next prompts.
Exactly, and click next and get going.
Make sure you click next and get on to the next one, okay?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the method covered up. What should we talk about now? I'm thinking maybe a few tips for this task.
Of course, yeah, some tips would be great. Some maybe things that students can do to practice in order to improve their listening skills, their note-taking skills, and their skimming and scanning. Yeah, so what tip would you like to start with, Scott?
I'd like to talk about a general tip to begin with, and that is obviously your listening is primarily assessed here, as well as obviously your logical thinking and your reasoning, as well as your ability to extract key information. So obviously it's very good to do PTE style exercises in the style of multiple choice, multiple answer listening. But what students can do in their own time is they can actually listen to anything. It can be obviously like a radio show, it could be an academic talk, Could be a TED Talk, a podcast, anything at all. Obviously, the more academic, the better. But the point is, listen to an excerpt about 60 to 90 seconds if you can. Once you've listened to that excerpt, pause it and write down what you've heard. What keywords have you heard? What's the main understanding of that topic? How would you contextualize that? These are very, very good soft skills and language skills that we can use for this task and ultimately improve your listening skills overall.
Definitely, yeah.
So what you can do is listen to it, take down your notes, take down your main idea, listen again and see, okay, did I get that correct or not based on my first listening?
Yeah.
And obviously you want to be able to get more better at that as you improve your listening skills.
Yeah, like ask yourself those questions, like what point has the speaker just made? And then summarize what you heard as well. And that would be useful for many other tasks. But ultimately, it's just all about being able to improve your listening by listening to a range of different speakers, different accents, different speeds, so that you're prepared and nothing will be a real shock to your system if you hear it on the day.
Do you have a tip for the students?
So simply listen for detail as well. So make sure that you practice your note-taking skills, I think. When it comes to the listening tasks, and you always want to take notes, so make sure that you really practice your note-taking skills and have a good note-taking system ready to go.
Just really refine that.
Exactly, and make sure that you have an organized system, that it's not just words written all over the place, and maybe you write some abbreviations but you don't really know what this, when you go back to them you're like, what does that say? What did I mean?
Also,
so make sure to avoid
I know
that.
from example as well, make sure your handwriting is great as well. My handwriting's terrible.
His handwriting is terrible.
Hey.
Bad.
It's pretty bad. So make sure your handwriting is excellent as well, so that in case you're reading your notes and it's illegible, you're unable to read it, that could be disastrous.
Yes, definitely. So that's it. So make sure that you're improving your listening, and of course we can find a range of multiple choice answers. It might not be very specific to the PTE exam, but in all grammar textbooks or English textbooks, English activities online, you can find multiple choice answer options.
It is, and also we need to say as well that of course learning the method for this for the PTE examination is highly important. But you also need to ensure that your enabling skills, your receptive skills and your productive skills are also top-notch as well. So your listening needs to be great. Your writing needs to be great. Your speaking, your reading, your grammar, your vocabulary, these all need to be top-notch too. So practice those language skills as well.
But this, especially for this task, vocabulary is huge, because if you come across a word that you don't know in the answer options, it's going to be very difficult for you to really understand what it's asking you. Or perhaps you come across a word and then a synonym is used, but you don't know the synonym of the word.
True.
So a really good tip is to make sure that as you are reading or listening, whatever it is you're doing with English, to take notes, write down a definition of the word that you don't know, and also a list of synonyms. And that will really widen your range of vocabulary.
Excellent.
And come in useful for every task in the PTE exam.
I absolutely agree. Some great tips there, Una.
Yes.
I guess we'll wrap up the podcast now. So we really hope that you find this podcast to be really useful today. And you now have a lot more information going forward with multiple choice, multiple answer for the listening section. And we will see you again for some more PTE podcasts with Swoosh English.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Are you struggling with your PTE exam preparation? Are you unsure how to get that score of 65, 79, or even 90? Let us help you get there. Please go to pte.swooshenglish.com and enter discount code PTE10 in order to receive 10% discount on any course.